Jon Sumrall is succeeding Billy Napier as the head coach of the Florida Gators. And I like aspects of this hire. I really do. It's certainly better than Billy Napier. Certainly a better hire. Much more respected in coaching circles, not had the same talent edge, has played in big games against Power 4 teams and won in them or competed in them. However, I think Florida obviously wanted Lane Kiffin. They had to pivot from that. And while Florida is ready to win now, they have expectations of competing for championships, for the playoff, for even a national title. And I think that's going to be tough regardless of who you hire. So, not that I'm down on this hire, but I'll get to the fact that I just want to throw caution out there. While there's a lot of fan bases and programs, especially blue bloods, that should expect to reach the playoff consistently and win titles, Florida is in that conversation, but I don't know if they're deep enough in that conversation to where they should expect national titles right now, or even SEC titles. And I just don't know if that aligns with what the expectations currently are, and combined with the whole situation with Kiffin not coming there despite that being the dream hire, is there going to be a bit of impatience here? A bit of show me? Because I've seen a lot of Florida fans already complain about this. But let's start off with the positives. Sumrall's the epitome of toughness, which was also Napier's trademark quality. I made jokes about it on Twitter. It's grit and bicep veins. That's all Napier was, is just, flexing your muscle, showing that you have a bigger bicep vein than your opponent, that your players are huge and fast and well-conditioned, and we're just going to beat you by being meatheads. That's all Napier was, though. Sumrall's much more than that. It's important to have the toughness and the work ethic and the roster construction, and Sumrall checks all those boxes. It's also important to actually have a head and a brain and not to have the ego of holding on to play calling when you suck at it. Sumrall is also a great recruiter, but in a different sense, I think, than Napier. So Napier at Louisiana and at Florida, from a program standpoint, you have an edge. At Kentucky, being a great recruiter at Kentucky means that you're an ace recruiter, period, because I don't think kids inherently want to go to Kentucky. They're not really a football school. They fired Mark Stoops just recently, and Stoops is probably their best coach in school history or something. It's just not an easy place to win or recruit to. It's a job where coaches go there to eventually get fired, as even Stoops, alleged there, did. He was their best recruiter there, and they always played wonderful defense and won some big games there and had some successful seasons. So that's a positive sign. He punches above his weight class. So they usually don't win with elite quarterback talent. They usually win with defense, and this year, running the football a whole lot with Jake Retzlaff, their quarterback. Did not have a lot of success against Ole Miss, I know, but they crushed Northwestern, and Northwestern is a physical team. And they were able to, they tried to bring in some talented players. I remember they tried to bring in one of the old Oregon quarterbacks who was supposed to be really good, and that didn't exactly pan out. And then they developed Darian Mensah into a great quarterback. He gets poached. This channel will make you a college football expert and help you enjoy watching games and make more accurate predictions. So what are you waiting for? Like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment your thoughts, and watch the video all the way through so that you can get the full package. And check the description and pinned comment for more ways to help yourself and this channel. And Tulane, right now, is a 10-2 football team that is going to play in the American Conference Championship game against North Texas. That's what's going to happen. And they're ranked top 25 in the polls. They're ranked top 25 in the CFP poll. They had wins this year over Memphis, over Duke, over Northwestern. It's a lot of schools where, in theory, they have worse talent, and they beat them, and in some cases, they destroyed those schools. So that's a good sign, because while Florida is ready to win now, and I think Sumrall with this roster will have some initial success, and if he continues their pattern of recruiting well, they'll have even greater success. You're not more talented than Georgia. You don't have a better roster than they do. You don't have a better roster than Alabama. And with the SEC moving to a 9-game conference slate, if you are not at the top, you are going to need someone who can win these conference games despite having the inferior roster if you want to reach a 12-team playoff. Where I am skeptical is that they are ready to win, but he needs to be great. Auburn, for context, I feel like if you beat Alabama and win enough to get into the playoff, I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm not as familiar with the South as I am with the North, I kind of feel like the expectations at Florida, with not just their national goals and conference goals, which I think are higher than Auburn's but overall similar, but more importantly the fact that I think Auburn is excited about their hire, and I don't know if Florida is. And I don't think Florida is going to give Sumrall the same backing that Auburn will give Golish. So I worry that if he is not great, if he's just good, which good with the resources of Florida in theory, on paper and with their roster, should be good enough for him to be there a while. But I worry with the added context and surrounding drama, if he's not great immediately, that this could fail. Every hire cannot succeed. And this is just one of those where I look at Fitzgerald, that could fail. I have a very hard time seeing Golish failing with Auburn. I look at LSU with Kiffin. I could see that failing, but more so in a way if he just doesn't win them a title and goes 11-1 or 10-2 every year, but doesn't really win them the SEC or a national title. And by their standards, that would be considered a failure. I could see this working, or it should work, but then eventually he's fired in a shorter order than a lot of the other candidates, outside of Ryan Silverfield, who I just do not think is nearly as good of a coach as Sumrall, and in a worse situation. I'm not skeptical because I think Jon Sumrall is a bad coach. I think he's a good coach. He could even be great. There's a lot of qualities to like about him. But with the situation at Florida, I think that in year one, he'll probably need to hit the ground running, because a lot of the vision was Kiffin's going to come and be with Lagway in this roster, and in year one we'll win immediately and we'll be competitive. And I think Sumrall can do that. I think he will. But if there is even the slightest hiccup, I feel like there might be some immediate negative pressure and energy there. Not predicting that to happen here, but my verdict is maybe. Lean positive because I think Sumrall's a good coach and Florida's a good program, but I'm not as confident as many of the other hires that I've talked about and that we've seen happen in college football. If he is just good and not great, long-term this will not work, and eventually Florida will be looking for someone else. If, however, he is great, and the roster and the schedule and all these other things that with the super conferences need to line up sometimes for things to work, then this will be absolutely fantastic. So great hire. Don't know if it'll work out, as Tom Fornelli says, but it's certainly a better hire than Billy Napier. And I do think that you're going to see more than just 7 regular season wins at least once out of Jon Sumrall, if not much more than that. You'll see it. Week 1, week 2, week 3, for the whole year next year. You will see better game management. You will see stronger effort. You will see better development out of the players that Billy recruited and also had an opportunity to develop under Sumrall than you ever did under Billy Napier. Thank you for watching. It's my mission on College Football with Sam to make you the most informed, knowledgeable, and entertained fan as possible. We aren't perfect, but we hit the nail on the head more often than we hit our thumb with the hammer. Make sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, and if you're here, you've probably already watched the whole video. So thank you for doing those things.